on the subject of pain, a very sensitive subject to each one of us. To each one of us, our own pain varies in form, it varies in intensity, but it's undeniably a part of this life here that we lead, and it's one of the lessons that we've come to learn. And today I wanted to approach the subject of pain and how we should deal with it. What is the best way to deal with it? And most of us, we fear pain. We worry that it will make us face things that we don't want to face. And we tend to put it aside and suppress it as far as possible. What I feel is that as long as you don't deny pain, you make it an easier process for you to learn and absorb and get out of it. The more you try to deny it, the harder it gets, because it's all inside you. And whether it's new or old, things that you have been putting off for a long time or things that just popped up out of nowhere, it is best to just look at it, because it's also a part of life. It's also a part of our survival here, but we need to face it in order to move past that milestone that life presents us with. And pain comes in different forms, and each pain has a different solution. To understand pain is emotional pain, that is, I'm talking about emotional pain. To understand emotional pain, you need to be able to look at it from a different perspective, because over here in this dimension we call it suffering. We call it a suffering. We said, I'm suffering from depression, I'm suffering from anxiety, I'm suffering. When you're constantly talking about suffering, all you ever do is you add a lot of negative energy into that process. You add a lot of negative energy and vibrations into the expression of pain. To understand it better, to overcome it, we need to probably look at it from a different perspective. If we were to look at it as a challenge, if we were to look at it as a lesson, it makes it seem a little less, less of a negative vibration. We're able to look at it from a positive aspect of it. And so the next time when you have pain, instead of denying it, try to look at the process of why it's there. Look at the purpose of why it's there. Because every situation, every direction that we turn was made out of choices. Choices that you made for yourself. Choices that you picked. Whether it be purely your decision alone, or if it was guided by others, an influence, But either way, to delay the process or deny the process of healing from something would be to put away things longer than they should be. To obstruct the process. You're standing in the way of your own evolution. You're delaying the entire process of evolution for yourself if you deny it. The longer you deny it, it doesn't just disappear. It's pushed below the surface. It's like trying to push a beach ball into water. It will only stay there for so long before it pops up again. The moment you lift your hand up, it's going to come up again, bouncing with more strength than what it took for you to push it down there. Sometimes it takes all your effort to push it down there. The more you do it, the more often you keep pushing it down there, the more exhausted you feel because of the pressure that you have to put in to pushing that ball under that surface. The first time it may seem like not a big deal, but the longer you keep doing it, try pushing a beach ball 20 times underwater. That becomes a form of exercise. That becomes a pain itself. So why do something that obstructs and delays the process of evolution when you can just bear it? Confront the fear. Confront the fear of facing pain. Most of us, we have that fear of pain. We fear that we would not be able to deal with pain. But one thing I can tell you about pain, one thing I can tell you about the lessons in this world, is that as hard as it gets, you're never given more than you can deal with. It's about a test of strength. It's about a test of how far you can go. But you're never given more than you can travel. So trust yourself to deal with things. Because we're not here to torture ourselves. We're not here to test to see, what is the maximum we can go? What is the breaking point? The breaking point doesn't really arrive. We make it look like there's a breaking point. We lose faith in ourselves. So when you do not face the pain that comes into you, and you suppress it instead, or you push it away, you deny the pain, you only make it worse when you think you're actually trying to set it aside while you focus on other things in your life. And the next thing I wanted to talk about was when it comes to healing, a lot of us tend to want to rush into that healing process. When you're in a bad relationship and you get out of the bad relationship, most of us start immediately feeling a little detached and feeling a little uncomfortable, and then you feel lonely, and then you get desperate to get into something else to try and not heal, but something that will distract your mind from the pain that is already there. That would be the most harmful way of dealing with pain in respect to relationships. You don't run from one thing to the next to try and avoid pain, to try and avoid the healing process. Because when you rush yourself into one thing after the next, you don't allow your soul to process what happened. When you don't process what happened, you don't learn. You're delaying. It's like skipping a few pages in your textbook. You don't know what happened. You need the entire formula for the math to work. If you skip a few pages in between, you won't know how to drive yourself to the answer. You don't know what you were working at. So always make sure that you focus on a solution, but at the same time don't rush to heal. Don't rush yourself into getting from one thing to the next. The solution to a broken relationship is not another relationship. The solution to a broken relationship is to give yourself the space and time to work your way through the pain, to understanding and accepting what happened. You need the space and time to think. You need the space and time to respect yourself. To embrace pain is to respect yourself. When you've been hurt, you want to allow your soul to heal. You want to give yourself time to love yourself, to respect yourself, to work on yourself, and then you move to the next relationship. By rushing into another relationship, all you end up doing is harming yourself and the other person. Think about it. When you can't work through one thing, you can't jump into the next. So give yourself space, not just with relationships, but a lot of things. When you are having a hard time facing something, give yourself time to heal. The next thing I wanted to talk about was that the healing has to take place at a much deeper level and not just on the surface. Some of us would be, we would just sit down and think, okay, I want to forgive this person, or I want to get over that. And you force your mind into some kind of manipulation, which is very superficial. You focus on all of the issues, but you don't go deep enough. When I'm talking about going deep enough, sometimes we have to go really, really deep, as in how far back did this all begin? sometimes the pain may not just be from one incident alone or one particular phase in your life, but it could have gone all the way back to your childhood. If you don't go all the way back there to find the root of the problem, you will never really heal. It becomes a superficial form of healing, which will come back to you and affect you in another form until you learn the complete lesson. If you have issues trusting people generally, it is not the person or the people who in your life who you need to work on. When you have issues trusting people again after maybe 1 or 2 toxic relationships or karmic relationships, you have to work on that. Where did it all begin? You have to go all the way back and make sure that every single aspect of it is approached, that you find a solution for it, that you accept and forgive. Even if you can't forgive the person, forgive the incident that occurred. Believe that it happened for a reason. Nothing is ever a mistake. Nothing is a coincidence. Everything happens for a reason. So you need to accept the reason. When you forgive at that level, when you forgive at a very deep level, that's when you understand that the healing has truly taken place. Because then, like I said, I remember posting something in the group a while ago, when you can actually tell the story without shedding a tear or feeling anger, you know you've healed. So think about it. If can you tell the same story when you can actually talk about something without feeling angry about it or without shedding a tear, then you know you've healed. Until then, you still have to work at it. You cannot run away from pain. That is not the purpose either. If you run away from it in this incarnation, you will be right back to do it another time, to fix it. Pain is not easy to overcome. Some of them could be so way back, so deep, that it doesn't happen with just one night of crying. It doesn't happen with a whole week of going into depression. Sometimes it takes longer. The reason why some people have anxiety and depression is because of previous incarnations where they have suppressed a lot of emotions, suppressed things in their soul, and they have to come back and they have to relive that. They have to go through that to shed all of those emotions that are deep within the soul. Depression and anxiety are not always superficial. Sometimes they don't even know why they're depressed. Sometimes they don't even know why they have anxiety. And according to my experiences with people who face these experiences, I feel that most of them have past life issues. They're connected to past lives. Past lives when they couldn't get over things emotionally, they couldn't accept certain things, they didn't heal from certain things, and those things remain in your soul because that's where your soul has traveled. It has traveled with you through several incarnations. And so you have to respect that. You have to apply healing before you move on. So there is a need to heal. There is a need to experience pain as a part of your evolution here. It is not just something you can throw under the carpet and hope it just goes away. All right? The next thing I want to talk about was, don't be afraid to feel weak. Don't be afraid to cry when you have to. This is not about an ego. This is not about ego and you trying to feel stronger than you probably feel inside. You can't pretend to yourself. What is the point of trying to be strong when you feel so weak inside? You're denying it again. It's okay to cry. It's okay to feel weak. It's okay to spend an entire day in bed just weeping, sobbing away. But knowing that this is also a process and you will walk out of this. This is not all there is to it. All you need to do is take a walk down the street and you will see homeless people. You will see people having bigger problems. You would see someone crying over their loved one's grave. You will see someone pleading for their life. There are people who are going through worse things than you right now. There are people who have much more painful lives than any of us sitting here in this room. So don't underestimate your value. Don't underestimate how much you can go through. Don't underestimate how strong you are. It is time to step up and face pain, because without healing, you will obstruct your spiritual path. You will stand in the way of your own progress. It is important for you to face pain, as it is a part of the lessons of every single journey that we have taken in this dimension for ages. So don't be afraid to cry. Don't be afraid to grieve. Don't be afraid to do anything that will make you stronger. To release is so important. To release is to gain freedom with yourself. To release is to respect yourself, your emotions that are deep inside, because otherwise those suppressed emotions will end up causing health issues. They will also affect your health, your mental state, your productivity, and it will affect you as well, because you will not be able to have a balance. Every time there's a full moon, every time there's an eclipse, every time someone goes through some shift in the consciousness, and we would say, oh, poor you. But the shifts happen because we are supposed to phase a lot of things collectively and individually. There is nothing that happens under the sun without a purpose, and that we have to accept. That is something we have to respect, because there are authorities on the other side in the higher dimensions who have worked with us even before we came here to help us plan our path, and that has to be respected. And then, of course, the final thing that I wanted to talk about today is how, when you let go of pain, when you release yourself from a phase in your life which has caused a lot of pain, when you heal, you also have to be grateful for the experience. That is the hardest part. How can you be grateful over pain? Well, you can be grateful over pain when you realize that you have taken away something that has made you stronger. Even the most abusive relationships would have taught you something. If you hadn't been through that experience, you wouldn't have the exposure, you wouldn't have the knowledge, and you wouldn't have felt any of the things that have made you who you are today. Maybe you feel weak, maybe you've ended up feeling insecure, maybe you think, oh, all it ever did was make me not trust people. I can't trust people now. I can't live a normal life. I can't do this, I can't do that. But think of all the things that you can do. It's not also just bad. What you did was if you feel that you can't trust people, maybe you should look at it differently. Maybe it told you how to respond to certain stimulation. It also taught you how to analyze people, study people. There's always a different way, a better way of looking at things. There's always a better way at looking at life. Always. And we are all the same. We all go through some form of pain or the other. Never judge a book by its cover. Don't ever look at someone and think that they're having a better life than you just because they seem so. You never know what's going on under those smiles. Like the most common quote that I've heard is that comedians are the saddest people in the world. They make the world laugh, but deep inside they're the saddest people in the world. I truly believe in that. I truly believe in that. There has to be a balance, you see. Through their pain, you see joy. They make the world smile because they know what it's like to be sad. They want to make people smile. They want to make people laugh because they know the value of that. So don't be afraid to be pain, because with pain comes the need for joy, for peace. You look for it. You help others to find peace because you know what it's like to face pain. Don't return pain with pain. When you are pained, return it with love and joy and peace, and you will see that life will always bless you with more joy if you're grateful for every experience, even pain. Thank you so much for being here today. I hope you enjoyed the series. I did too. God bless you. I'll see you again. Namaste.